The big challenge for me in the coming year is that we need to raise the profile of housing in the run-up to the Assembly election for a number of reasons. We know about the impact it has across education, health, community confidence, individuals' ability to achieve their aspiration. Unless we raise the profile into a Welsh election issue, we're not going to be able to make the case for more investment in housing after that time. And one thing I'm absolutely clear on is if any Welsh government sees about tackling poverty, they need to invest capital ground up front so we can deliver social rented homes, because all the evidence suggests that that can make the biggest contribution to tackling poverty.
I think you're absolutely right about that, and I think SP supporting people is key to that. You know, we talked before about how sometimes it flies under the radar of people's consciousness, and yet that's the glue that holds the whole jigsaw together, really, that enables people to engage with everything else, because they feel safe and they are in secure homes and they feel able to engage with employment and education and training.
I think the fact that housing has come radically up the agenda in the general election has been brilliant. Not that necessarily the things that have been proposed are brilliant, but I think that momentum has got to be sustained in the Assembly elections. From our point of view, I think there's still a massive supply issue out there. I think we all know that. There's still problems across Wales in terms of the condition of the stock, so we want to keep our foot on the gas in terms of achieving the housing quality standard by 2020. But I think in broader terms as well, one of the things we want to try and do is put housing into a space where it's seen as a key preventative service, i.e. it stops people getting into the National Health Service, it saves money for the National Health Service, and I think housing has a massive role in that respect. And we tend to forget the fact that Aneurin Bevan is always quoted as the health minister. His first job was housing minister.
Yeah, I'd agree, but also from a tenants' perspective, it's remembering that we need to ensure that we have our voice going forward, and I think there's a lot of, fear maybe out there because there's so much talks of mergers and what does this mean for tenants, and sort of like looking to the future. There's a lot of talk about diversification, and it's making sure that even if the housing authorities, be it the local government or housing associations, do diversify, that they always keep their eye on what's important, and that is the tenants that they have now.
I guess, Steve, for you and the people within local government, that's really hard, isn't it, when jobs are changing, responsibilities are changing, and for people who are working with people in local government, sense of where does my role stop and start and finish, and what can't I do because those duties have changed. So we've all got a role in guiding a steady ship, haven't we, really, over the next year or so.
I mean, the point to make is that whatever happens on sort of local government reorganisation, the timing on it is nothing will happen, and there'll be no new authorities till 2020. And what we don't want to do is shut up shop, pull up the drawbridge and do nothing in the next 5 years. If there's a map published in the summer, there's a map published this summer. There's no chance, I think, of it going through the Assembly politically. But I think both your points are right. From the point of view of everybody, it would be disastrous. I went through the last local government reorganisation. It was deeply painful, and it would be disastrous if everybody takes their eye off the service ball in terms of outcomes in particular at this time. I mean, it was pretty bad financially the last time in the 90s when we did reorganisation, but it wasn't this bad. And I think everybody working together in terms of pooling resources is something we've got to accelerate. What we don't want is the biggest part of the public sector just basically becoming completely glued to its own intestines and worrying about local government reorganisation for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think that's one of the points I made when I spoke this morning. I think services are vitally important, but actually local authorities have got a really key leadership role to play. And it's important they don't turn in on themselves as the debate rolls on. And I think that's the danger in some ways. We know reorganisations are way off, but once the map is published and the debate starts, I think local authorities need to remain outward looking, and we need to help them do that.
I think they also need to bring politics out of it, because there's so much talk about there's so much talk about which political party would end up in power after the merger and stuff like that as well, when they need to just stop and think of the people that they're representing, and they're all there for the same reason at the end of the day, and that is to look after their wards, however big that might be at the end of the day. And the members of local authority councils getting insight.
We talked a lot about the active citizen as well this morning, didn't we? In all sorts of different shapes and forms, and what people, how do we define people in terms of their assets and their capabilities and their futures, not just in terms of their problems and their deficits and stuff that they they can't do. And I think that's also a key place that we can work together. And that's a real opportunity, I think, over the coming years.
We've got a range of services now which came into the statutory sector at a certain point. Leisure services is a classic one, which probably won't be a local government service in the next 20 years. It'll be run by community trusts. Libraries may go down that route. We've seen what's happened in the housing sector as well. These are different models. The only thing I worry about is that we're losing the local democratic input into that as well in terms of representative democracy. So I think that's something we should all be concerned about. But yeah, the new types of models that are emerging, could be the saviours of some traditional public services.
Well, whatever happens, it's going to be interesting.
Oh, definitely.